So Selaina Tangaknia, welcome to Khmer Voices, where we shine a spotlight on the achievements of the Cambodian diaspora around the world. I'm your host, Lani, aka Fanny. Here is part 2 of Khmer Voices Turns 1. And I want to give a big shout out, the hugest shout out to my friend, my Lao friend, Shannon Kampol. She flew all the way from Toronto to Vancouver for my podcast launch party. So she arrived Friday night and then left Sunday morning. Like, if that is not true friendship, I don't know what is. So not only did she do that, but she also helped me work out the kinks before actually recording episodes. You know, we went through the whole process and she gave me some really good feedback, helping me along the way and making sure that I was able to release the best podcast episodes I could in the beginning. I don't know what I would do without friends like that in my life. Like, I'm so blessed. And the podcast has opened up so many more doors, and I've developed so many other relationships that I wouldn't have had I not started this podcast. So it's just a testament to, if you really, really want to do something, just go do it. Don't listen to that inner critic in you that's saying that you're not good enough, because honestly, you're probably not in the beginning, but you're going to improve. And who knows, you may be remarkable. You may be producing brilliant shows and sharing brilliant stories later on. And I feel like I'm headed that route. So thank you to all my friends and supporters and you listeners. And thank you so much, Shannon, my girl, since day one, for supporting me in this journey. Now we're on to the last 6 takeaways of Khmer Voices Turns 1. And I want to start off this, the first takeaway with Rothani Sar. She is from Texas and she's a mainframe systems programmer. In this little snippet, she shares how a woman influenced her and made her see the potential in the strength of our femininity. And it's a great little story on how representation truly does matter.
Samniang means Samniang. I grew up with her in the refugee, and I saw her being a woman that just desired with education. She was also a volunteer teacher in the refugee, and then when she came to Cambodia, we were on the same train actually. But her work was so inspiring. It's all about encouraging women, building up. She even helped with sex trafficking organizations, and she's also part of Michelle Obama Foundation. She was in the U.S. for that foundation for sponsoring She Can. I think that was one of the organizations she did. She's inspired me. I looked up to her when I was a kid. Sometimes I spend my summer at her house, and seeing her as like a strong, independent Khmer woman, to me, I want to be like her. I want to make a difference.
And making a difference, she is absolutely doing now. It actually started in 2020 when she had these extra masks, and she was wondering, like, how can I help? What can I do with these masks? And obviously her heart is in Cambodia. So she decided to connect with a nonprofit. And since then, she's been working with them. She was sending over backpacks, collecting supplies and items to stuff these backpacks and provide for kids that needed it in Cambodia. And after the border dispute, she helped raise funds to get those necessary supplies that our displaced brothers and sisters, aunties, uncles, and Yaita needed. So, Rothani, you are what you wanted to become. And we are so lucky to have you as part of our community. Speaking of representation, My second takeaway comes from Chanda Oak. She is an author, and she wrote the book called A Dozen Delicious Donuts. She, in this snippet, emphasizes the need for diversity of stories in children's literature. And, I have to agree with her that diversity is the spice of life.
I really do hope that when people read this book, they feel a connection to it. And that, it's not simply about a Cambodian story. Mm-hmm. It's about something more than that. How do we connect with our community? How do we bring something different to others and share it in a way that I think helps people to better understand who we are? And I'll go back to the necessity of the children's story and the importance of having stories that are different. I think it just helps other children see the other world, something that without having something new or different, it just makes you the same, and it's the same what we want in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yes, diversity is the spice of life.
There's so much, really, I keep coming to this word, but there's so much need in recognizing our differences, what we can draw from those differences connections.
This is what Khmer Voices is all about. We are sharing our own stories. They're unique. Everyone's got a different story, right? But when you look at the differences, you can draw the connections. You can draw a theme. You can see a theme. So far I've seen, themes of resilience, of passion, of trying to make an impact and, making it easier or better for the next generation. So thank you, Chanda, for sharing your story with us and writing your book, A Dozen Delicious Donuts. Listeners, if you have young children and want to give them a peek at what life was like growing up in America, definitely go support Chanda Oak and buy her book, A Dozen Delicious Donuts. Now, the third takeaway I want to highlight today is from Sapitra Heng. He is a business owner along with his wife, and he didn't have the easiest life growing up. There was a lot of moving around and a lot of sadness. He experienced some depression as well. His episode, if you're interested in learning more, is called It's Never Too Late. But in the snippet here, he talks about the importance of focusing on yourself first, and he explains why here.
Even in the last 2 years, instead of focusing so much on my business, I've actually taken a big step back and then focusing on myself. And I actually returned to university. I'm in my 40s too, which is crazy. So I'm finishing up my business degree for various reasons. I've taken up like martial arts with my son, and there's never too late to do anything. And as long as we're working and becoming the person that you want to be, the results will happen after. Your business, you will grow not because your business, it will grow because of who you are.
That makes total sense, right? It's like when you're on an airplane, they remind you to put on your air mask in the event of emergency. They tell you to put on your air mask first before helping others, because if you are not able to take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to help anyone else. So thank you, Peter, for reminding us of that. He also appeared on the episode called Why Celebrating Our Khmer Roots is More Important Than Ever. The fourth takeaway comes from Savan Kong, and he comes from the episode called Seeing the Power of Privilege at Play. In this snippet, he reminds us why we need to be sharing our stories so that history doesn't repeat itself.
The history of things, and the reason why I like, it's important for us to tell these narratives and the stories. I didn't know that about Lao either. And, for me, a lot of it is trying to tell our story so that we don't repeat those same mistakes, like Khmer people killing other Khmer people. Like we think that stuff like that could never, ever, ever happen again. But, within the memoir, I frame, us coming to America from South Khmer. But at the tail end of that, I actually worked on Operation Allies Refuge, which was evacuating Afghanistan, right? And I was in war rooms. I was sort of doing this coordination of the evacuation of an entire country, and you could see the same mistakes being made, right? The same sort of like amount of turmoil that we're causing. And unlike before, where I was on sort of in Sok Mai and coming here, I'm now the person sort of like sitting behind the desk and sort of like trying to orchestrate these things for other families that are trying to come here. And just that repetition of history in many ways, and in all honesty, the hubris of like us as human beings in America sometimes to think that we can't repeat history. It's just so crazy to me. So that's, another reason why I'm writing what I'm writing, is so that we can tell these stories and get that narrative out there.
Yeah, we need to be talking about this more, because you're right. I'm seeing a lot of what happened to us being repeated. Speaking of sharing our narratives and amplifying our stories, the fifth takeaway comes from Nan, aka Samantha Lee, who is a VP of operations at a private equity firm based in New York City. She wears Cambodian-inspired outfits to the office, and she speaks on the importance of proudly and loudly wearing that.
Even though I think that I'm American, other people view me as Asian, and if they're viewing me as Asian, what do I even know what type of Asian I am? Do I even know myself to like contradict that, or just like, just have an awareness of who I am? And so coming out of COVID was when I realized, I'm Cambodian, I'm Khmer, and I'm not going to be afraid to be myself anymore. And that was when I started looking into my Cambodian clothing, and like it was just researching. I was like researching about Cambodian, and I was like, something that I've always loved is our Cambodian fabric. The sang, the pamong, and I started buying fabric and having I found a tailor named Jenny, and she and I started creating pieces together so that I can wear to the office, like really just Western, pieces, right, that are appropriate. And in the beginning, I was pretty like conservative about it. I would wear blacks and blues, still Cambodian fabric, but like darker colors, so they weren't, obvious.
Loud.
yeah. And then now, like, the other day I wore a yellow sewn sheet dress, and my boss was just like, and I was just like so dramatic, But now I'm like more like I know that when I walk around Manhattan, and people see me, they're not seeing me as an American person, right? They're seeing me as an Asian person, and I'm now more willing to like be seen fully as Asian. And the reason why is because I'm not wearing it for them, right? I'm wearing it for other Cambodian people. Like I love it when someone stops me and tells me, is that Khmer, or is that Thai? Yes, talk to me about my Cambodian clothing. I am happy to share. I'm also happy to randomly get stopped and say, are you Cambodian? I'm like, yes. And she's like, oh, I thought so because of, the skirt you're wearing or whatever. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to I'm not wearing it for the American people. I'm wearing it for the Cambodian people because I want you to see me and to come up to me and have a conversation with me, because like I want that community. I want to be able to say, hey, you can be yourself, you can wear your heritage and be proud of it.
If you're interested in learning more about Nan, aka Samantha, you can check out her episode called Quiet Cambodian Girl Who Found Her Voice. I'd like to end this episode with a takeaway that someone very important to our community said. And if you listen to podcasts, or even if you don't listen to podcasts regularly, if you're active in the Khmer community, I'm sure you've come across the name Chad Samuth. He ran the Khmer Tree podcast, where he interviewed Khmer people of the Cambodian diaspora, and it's like him chatting with old friends, because he realized that, just like me, that we're doing amazing things in the community. So he has dedicated half his life to uplifting and celebrating the Cambodian culture and heritage. In the last several years, he's battled cancer, and sorry, I mentioned in another podcast that I get pretty emotional. Even though I've never met him, I could feel his warmth and his dedication to elevating our people. So I wanted to end this important episode, with what he said. It's a very important reminder. Chad, we miss you.
For where I am now with my life, it's less about me and more about us, right? And when I say us, Khmer Yang specifically, your podcast, Khmer Voices, mine, Khmer Tree. Obviously, we have an affinity for Khmer culture and our people. So I guess this is really a message for our people, right? Our community, which is, we've gone through a lot this year, 2025. It's the 50th anniversary, and since the war broke out, and I would say, dream big, aim high, and get really excited about life, because the future is very bright for us. And we all came from this dark period in our people's history, but remember that we come from greatness. We come from greatness. We come from a heritage that's so full of life and culture. Going back thousands of years. There's no such thing as an ancient America, right? But there's an ancient Cambodia. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Mm-hmm. Think about where we came from. Learn about our people. Learn about our culture. And go from there, and just and work our way back to greatness.
Akon Charan Bong Chad for reminding us that Askon Khmer, we come from greatness. We're capable of achieving great things. Thank you for all you've done for our community. And I hope that in our next lifetime, we actually get to meet in person, because you're pretty badass. Mongpon, Khmoy, Dengoknia. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you discovered some that you didn't get to listen to before, or, you're revisiting ones that you've already listened to. If you're enjoying Khmer Voices, please be sure to share it with others that you think will enjoy it too. And if you haven't yet, give Khmer Voices a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Akon Charan, and I will be back in 2 weeks with another episode.